Grace Devadeva Prabhu, who's aptly served Shri Radha Radhanath for 2 decades as the head pujari. And the standard of such worship, I know that from many international devotees who take darshan of the deities either personally or via the photographs, are always so impressed with their worship. Over and above that, His Grace Devadeva Prabhu wears many hats in terms of the operations of the temple, the strategic planning, and has served at various capacities. He's also the executive director of the Deity Worship Ministry globally, and most recently appointed as the temple president of the Sri Sri Radha Radhanath temple here in Durban. So I'd now like to hand over to Devadeva Prabhu for the official welcome.
Hare Krishna. Everybody sounds a bit glum. Maybe it's because we made you move from the bottom to the top. I'm so sorry about that. We had a little bit of an electrical fault, which they are working on, and we'll hopefully move back there for the drama later today. So thank you very much, everybody, for coming today. And you know, it's just a huge privilege to have all of you together celebrating Sri Sri Radha Radhanath's 40th anniversary. So today we want to remember all the devotees who have sacrificed in so many different ways to bring this temple together with, you know, the finest marble and the gold-filmed windows, with all these little details that went in to the construction of this temple 40 years ago. The service that everybody rendered that we are relishing today, you know, we just cannot understand it. But I want to say thank you to these devotees, and all the others who are not here present today for just this mammoth task which we are reaping. So for 40 years, our temple has stood as a flagship temple, a beacon of hope, service, and refuge, and definitely devotion, drawing the hearts of every corner of South Africa, if not internationally. The flagship temple was constructed by the instruction of Srila Prabhupada. And here we are, now relishing in this magnificent glory. We have Rath Yatras, which see around 500,000 people annually. And our Radha Radhanath's darshans, not just those that come in, but even on the online reach, we're looking at around 4.3 million darshan. So Radha Radhanath has become a worldwide name. Radha Radhanath is being appreciated by everybody, not just here in South Africa. And this, we can understand how glorious Radha Radhanath actually are. But the devotees here who have been serving over the last decades, 4 decades, 5 decades actually, Srila Prabhupada's 50th anniversary of coming. What we see is that devotees have tirelessly been giving their lives in so many different ways for the pleasure of you, for the pleasure of bringing everybody closer to Radha Radhanath, facilitating so many festivals and these beautiful darshans and maintaining the temple. So today we want to remember all of these devotees. We want to say thank you to all of these devotees and just glorify all of the service that you all are rendering and everybody who has rendered over the past 4-5 decades. So that's what we have from me. We're going to hear from the other devotees, but welcome. Welcome again, and please continue with our festivities over the next few days. We have the Maha Abhishek that would be at around 2:30 today, and then we have the petling with the Kirtan Mela. So we request everyone to please assist with that. And then we have some Prabhupada nectar from the Srila Prabhupada disciples. And tomorrow we would go through a very unique panel discussion led by Brihad Bhagwat Maharaj, and which I think will be really nice. You'll hear things that you never heard before. You will be able to tap into various services that the devotees did, that they rendered, that they sacrificed for, that I think none of us may have even heard before. So that's something to really look forward to. And finally, ending with the Maha Pushpa Abhishek tomorrow at around 1 p.m. So welcome again, and please stay with us. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna, Krishna Radha.
Thank you so much, His Grace Deva Deva Prabhu. And also, thank you for being so open to moving around. And I think Shri Radha Radhanath, they wanted us all inside the temple room for this beautiful ambience. That's what I said. So they make the ultimate arrangements as to how and what we should do things. And we see that through our daily lives. And this temple is such a beacon of hope. And when the Shri Radha Radhanath temple was opened, it was built as the temple of understanding. And for 4 decades now, we have become that temple that offers peace, hope, solitude, gratitude, and mindfulness to so many, not only within the community of Chatsworth, but as hope for the nation. At this point, I would also like to welcome Medhavi Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Let's hear a warm Hare Bol. And we will also hear from Medhavi Prabhu within the course of this program. I'd now like to introduce to you, and perhaps not a real introduction needed, but out of respect and gratitude to His Holiness Bhakti Chaitanya Swami Maharaj, who is such a familiar face, such a familiar voice to us here at Shri Radha Radhanath Temple, not just being here, but in the online space as well. And sometimes I don't know how Maharaj does it, because Maharaj travels widely, and yet he still gives us so much of association online. With Maharaj's regular japa in the morning, with the classes that he presents, and regularly being a part of all the festivities. His Holiness Bhakti Chaitanya Swami Maharaj is a co-GBC for Southern Africa for several years. He was also the chairman of the governing body executive committee as well. And Maharaj is a disciple of His Holiness, His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. And we are so grateful for his guidance, his care, his love, and his association. His Holiness Bhakti Chaitanya Swami.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharane Nera Vishesha Shunyavadi Paschitya Dejatarane Vanchikalpatrubhyas Chakripas Sindhubhya Evacha Paditanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivas Adi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare 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 Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Yes, thank you all for coming. How wonderful to be here with you, and we know you are all very sincere members of Srila Prabhupada's family, and that's extremely important. You're very, very special people, to say the least. Mataji Krishangi Radhe, she mentioned about the marble, best marble. You know how much this marble cost, including the installation? You're probably not aware. 0. And not because somebody sponsored it or something like that, but Raj Ram Prabhu, who was the the architect, the engineer, and construction manager, all in one person. He made an arrangement with a local firm, kind of Italian people, Italian background, and he was a sort of a hard man, you could say. I mean, but a very good devotee. So he made an arrangement with this company in writing a contract that you will install this marble by, I don't know exactly the date, but some date. And if not, every day that you're late, then X amount of rands will be deducted. And the people signed the contract, and then they started getting overtime, and they just sort of didn't worry about it. And then finally, they almost owed us money. So it literally cost us nothing. Another thing I'll say, which I assume very few, if any of you, are aware of, is that when Rajram Prabhu and company, Tulsi Das Prabhu and the other devotees who were involved in these things at that time back, in what maybe late 70s or very early 80s, the temple was designed with 2 floors. A quick calculation tells us this is the 3rd floor. So the floor beneath this was going to be the temple room. I think it would have been a bit small. But you know what happened? Would you believe, and Mrs. Raj Bansi, listen to this, Mr. Raj Bansi came and insisted, no, you must make it bigger. Either you make the floor beneath this much bigger, which would have been very difficult, from the construction point of view, or you must make a 3rd floor. And the devotees didn't really know what to say, but, he pressed us as he was that sort of person, when he was convinced about something. And so here we are sitting in the temple room now. But it would have been a fraction of the size, like less than half the size, if the original plan had been the plan. And of course the problem now is that it's too small anyway. But anyway, we carry on. Yes, so these are a couple of interesting little points from the background. There's a whole story. I mean, actually, someone should write a book about the whole history of the design, of the acquiring the land. We don't want to sort of glorify the National Party too much, but they did sell us the land this temple is on. It's 1 acre for 2 rands. A good deal. Yes. They changed their strategy after we finished the temple. And we decided we wanted the rest of the land, as you're aware, around here, total of 6 acres. So the remainder 5 acres, they sold to us. I mean, talk about bumping the price up, but still it was pretty cheap really, for 26,000 rands for 5 acres of land. Yeah, I don't know how much it would be worth now, but it would be a lot. And really a lot more than 26,000 rands for 5 acres right in the very center of Chatsworth. So different things have happened, all sorts of different things have happened in the course of the development of the whole project. And there was a lot of mercy floating around from Shishi Radha Radhanath, Madhavi Prabhu and I. We were in the team which was going out and raising funds for the construction of the temple that we, I think, started, what was it, kind of early 82, something along those lines. And, you know, there was a rather unusual program for fundraising, but it was very successful, extremely successful. So we sort of scoured the whole country from Bait Bridge, if you've heard of Bait Bridge, down to Cape Point and everything in between. We've been there. I personally went to Bait Bridge to try and raise funds. So, yeah. And the fruit is this wonderful temple. What an amazing temple. It's just truly outstanding, very beautiful, and just very transcendentally very rich. So I'm extremely happy, and I feel extremely privileged to have been able to participate in the development, and then finally on the during the opening ceremony. Amazing ceremony. On the main day, 120,000 people came, and Chatsworth came to a standstill. Yeah, the place, people were watching the fireworks from their motor cars, sitting out on the roads all around Unit 5, Unit 3, Unit 6, Unit 11, etc., etc. What an amazing... The whole thing was just amazing and continues to be. So anyway, thank you to Shishi Radha Radhanath, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Giriraj Govardhan. Thank you particularly to Srila Prabhupada for having engaged me and given me this opportunity once in a lifetime. Once in how many lifetimes, I don't know. But just an amazing opportunity to do a little service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Shri Shri Radha Radhanath Ke, Shri Giri Govardhana Ke, Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Ke, Srila Prabhupada Ke, Gaur Premanande.
His Holiness Bhakti Chaitanya Swami Maharaj Ki. Thank you very much to Maharaj for being a pillar of guidance and support to all of us here for all these years. Yesterday Maharaj did a wonderful slide presentation at the Reservoir Hills Hindu Seva Samaj Hall about Srila Prabhupada in South Africa. I was thinking Maharaj, we should record that and make it available to us. Thank you so much. It's my pleasure and privilege and honor to introduce to you His Grace Shudi Prabhu. Given that we have a little condensed program now that we had to move from there, our speakers are limited for their presentation. So everybody will speak for about 5 or 6 minutes. His Grace Shudi Prabhu is from the USA, and he joined ISKCON in Laguna Beach, January 5th in 1970. And we know he's a senior disciple of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, and been initiated in the Cross Maidan Festival in Bombay in 1971. And he was the first devotee to arrive here in 1972 in South Africa. So we owe it to His Grace, Shudi Prabhu. Let's hear a nice round of applause for him. Thank you.
Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swamini Dinamani Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharne Nirvishesha Shunyavati Paschata Desatarne. I'll offer my obeisances to Srila Prabhupada, because I may not be much, but Prabhupada said that I am praying to Krishna that you will have the strength and enthusiasm to carry out this mission. So I may not be much, but boy, am I connected to the right person. So I ask for the mercy so I don't disgrace you by my presence. I try to remember in our mission that we serve Prabhupada, and we try to bring more than we take away. President Kennedy said that you should ask not what the country can do for you, but what you can do for the country. So this is what we think about Prabhupada's movement and the temple. Just like when I was here alone, there may be many more qualified devotees than me now, but when I was here alone, I guarantee you I was the top most qualified devotee. No doubt about it. But that's not the point. As I always say, I'm not threatened if somebody's better at me than something, unless it's knife fighting and then they're chasing me with one. But other than that, I'm happy if they're more qualified. So we try to bring more than we take away. If we come to the temple, we can bring small donation at the feast. Even though you're doing some service, you try to donate something. You set aside part of your income. That way your work is so if you're working thinking, I'm going to go out to the bar on the weekend, then your work becomes tied to the mode of ignorance. If our work becomes tied to benefiting ourselves, Krishna, and the whole community, then it becomes transcendental. So someone was asking me yesterday, did I feel a great sense of relief and purpose when I was here alone? Well, I felt like I had the responsibility, and I was happy in the chanting of Hare Krishna. And I was happy when I got to discuss with people. I had a plan where I had 2 sets of books, the $37.50 set and the $60 set. So I explained a little bit about each one and say, do you want the $60 set, or do you want to start with the $37.50? You never ask a question like, do you want a book or not? It has to be a choice of which one they're doing. So I was concerned that I was here with the Swami, he left me alone, because it was we had our lives threatened by thieves and by the government. It was a race to see who was going to kill us first. So I felt a sense of urgency because I knew that they could pick me up and kill me or incarcerate me or throw me out of the country. So I knew that I had to collect enough money to pay off the book debt and to get someone else here to help before they caught up with me. Unfortunately, Prabhupada was concerned I was here alone, and I got a few collections. And when I told Prabhupada that the Swami had taken money with him when he came to Prabhupada, Prabhupada said, you left that young boy all alone? With a $15,000 debt, you give me what you have. So before I got caught by the security police, I was able to order another 3,500 dollars worth of books, and pay the whole debt off, and leave Pushta Krishna Swami when he came here with 5,000. And that's why I always think we should think how we can contribute more to the temple than we take away. I don't have a job now. We have some family investments, but I'm coming here twice this year, once now obviously and once in December, and no one's paying the ticket. It's costing over 50,000 rand. But I knew that my service was to try to get something started here. Maybe not grow the tree of the temple, but plant a seed of it. And we know these times are a little touchy, especially if you check out the American stock market yesterday. You see that there's always some difficulty in the material world. But what we should think is not that that's an excuse not to do service or give money. We think I should reserve a little money to give in case that opportunity is taken away. We shouldn't think, let me expand all my services. That's why in America, we have a one-bedroom place, and when I'm not there, I put my clothes in the attic, and my daughter stays there, and we have a 2009 car that we share. When I'm there, I use it. When she's there, she uses it. In Vrindavan, I just have a one-bedroom place. It cost me 20 million, but of course that was rupees. And I didn't finish the things in the kitchen, because I know, particularly in Laguna Beach, Tukaram and Laguna Beach, he does the best preaching to involve Westerners of anyone in America. So I have to facilitate that, and I also have to tell other people how well they do at that there. How he's put together so many Western couples who become good devotees, and they have one in Long Beach that has 40 to 60 people come every Saturday, and there's Western devotees living in the ashram, all Westerns, no Indians at all. Indians come to Laguna, but not to Long Beach. And so we have to think of ways that we can give more to the temple that we take. And we use opportunities. Like I say, I don't usually like to change things, but I'm going to change the Sunday feast program right now. Instead of people going and sitting with your family who you come with and spend every day with, I want people to go meet somebody new and just share a few things with them. Make friends with them. If you're looking for an opportunity to do several things at once, you can make friends, you can satisfy the spiritual master, and you can bring Krishna consciousness to people, all with one action. So go and meet a few new people. Don't say, oh, I've come from 20,000 kilometers away. I ask people to say, oh, my family is just over here. 20,000 kilometers is a long way. So when I come here, I go around and meet with new people and talk to them. And this is a secret to advancement in devotional service. And I don't think anybody will object to me changing this. Anybody object to that? Anybody say, no, they can't meet with new people. They have to sit with their family members and not talk to anybody else. I don't think anybody would say that. Doesn't mean you're neglecting your family. You can bring the people in. Because someone who comes on their own, if you leave them alone, they feel neglected. But the fact that they came on their own means that they were interested enough that they didn't wait for someone else to come. So having a temple is a facility for people like this. We have a wonderful facility. We need to make sure we can continue funding it, and we need to make sure that people who come here, when I meet someone at a Sunday feast, I set a low goal. I let them know I can be a friend, and I make them feel like they want to come back next week. You set a low goal, but with a high success rate. So I'm honored to be here amongst all these great souls and amongst all of you. And we work together to make this a continuing success. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Shri Prabhu. By your mercy and your efforts in service, we all are experiencing the fruit of that, as you can see in this wonderful temple and the large congregation and the reputation of ISKCON in South Africa. It's my privilege and honor now to introduce to you His Grace Medhavi Prabhu, based at our Cape Town Yatra, ISKCON Cape Town. His first contact with devotees was a long while ago in 1973 in Memphis, Tennessee. And he joined there in Knoxville as part of what is known as the Traveling Sankirtan Party, involved with a lot of book distribution, collecting donations, etc., which he continued to do here in South Africa as well for this temple. So he's had a variety of services, from being a kitchen head, Goshala services, Bhakta leader, meaning training younger devotees. And here in 1980, he came to South Africa, and from then, been involved in the temple, collecting donations for this temple, assisting devotees, especially in the Cape Town area. So it's my pleasure to hand over to His Grace Medhavi Prabhu. Let's welcome Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gaurabani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pastacha Desatarni Vanchakalpatrivishcha Kripa Sindhu Vyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. So I'm very honored to be here today with the august devotees here, and I pray to them for their mercy that I can present something valuable for your information. So I had the great good fortune of traveling with His Holiness Bhakti Chaitanya Swami for 5 years. 5 years collecting funds for the temple by selling paintings. Selling paintings. His Holiness Bhakti Vikash related a story. He was talking about, we traveled together in the UK, and I couldn't sell a book to save my soul. I couldn't sell a book. But I could sell you something. I mean, I could sell you a business deal, kind of. I'll give you a candle, or a pack of incense, or an LP record, or something, or an oil painting. So, with Maharaj's good association, great association, we were able to do that. We only spent 1 or 2 days a month in the temple. We were always traveling, and we traveled from, in England they say from, what is it?
Land's End to John O'Groats.
Yeah, Land's End to John O'Groats. So as Mars mentioned, we're from Louis Tricart to Cape Town, and from Springbok to Puff Adder to hot as hell. And in Zululand, and we went to Southwest Africa twice, and we went to a game reserve yesterday, and we went to the original game reserve in Etosha, Pan. And like yesterday, we saw that as soon as you get out of the car, you're just one of the animals. You're just one of the animals. There's no protection. We don't generally find lions and leopards walking in the streets of Chatsworth. But practically speaking, that's what the material world is. It's a dog eat dog, or lion eat wildebeest world. So people in general, most people, they have no consciousness of the spiritual goal of life. They're just ignorance. They're born in ignorance and they stay in ignorance. So Srila Prabhupada very kindly came here, and he left 2 instructions. One was to build a temple for the congregation in Chatsworth, and the other was Rath Yatra festivals. So when I first came to South Africa, I was collecting for the BBT, because our main program here was life membership. So if people became members, then they had to get the books. So we had to have a kitty of books, a nice supply of books, so that when people were signed up for membership, then they got the books. So, and that started with selling candles. Selling candles. There was a candle factory in Pinetown, which was closed. I had sold a few candles in the UK, but they were stumpy, brown, orange, sticky candles. But when I came to that factory, I saw their beautiful white candles with carved, and they used to say, kitty cares. I don't know if you know, the tradition was that when a boy would come and visit his girlfriend's house, they would light a candle. And when the candle burned out, time to go. So we had these big, thick candles, so people would say, kitty cares, which means you could spend a week, kind of thing. So that became a little popular. And then when we switched over to collecting for the temple, they had introduced the paintings. But as Mars was saying, it was very profitable. It was very profitable. And of course the devotees worked hard. They worked hard, and we worked hard. And yeah, it was very successful. We started just selling the paintings. And then Tulsi Das, he very quickly caught on that you can make just as much money with the frame as you can the painting. So then we used to sell the painting and the frame. And people would wonder, when are you going to deliver? I say in 5 minutes. 5 minutes, because we just backed it on a hard board, which was always already pre-cut. And Mars and I, we had estate wagons. He had a Record, Opel Record, and I had a VW Passat. But we had these trailers that we pulled behind full of frames. So it was interesting that we could frame the painting in 5 minutes. But if we didn't put the hooks and the cord on the back, you come back a year later and it would still be sitting on the floor. So we used to put that on too and put it on the wall. And we used to say, buy 3, get 1 free. And that used to do the trick. But it was very profitable, and we stayed out and we traveled, all over the country. And the people, people in South Africa are good-hearted, mostly. And it was very successful. As Mars was mentioning, the first idea was the temple was just going to be 2 stories. So we had to collect like 200,000 or 300,000 rand, which we had done fairly quick. This is my view on the thing, my less intelligent and ignorant view. But we collected the 250,000 rand. We were getting close to that fairly soon. And I didn't know about Mr. Rajbansi, but then from 250 went up to 600,000. So then they were moving the goalposts, as they say. And then we were getting close to that and said, no, it's 1.2 million now. So as they were introducing more and more, better finishing into the project. So I don't know ultimately how much it cost, but then you 2.8 million, and that's not including paying for vehicles and petrol and the service of Sri Nitai Gaura Hari and their servants in Cato Ridge. So the money came in. We were kind of unfortunate that Rajram, the architect, wanted us to continue collecting and build the second phase. He wanted a wedding hall, a museum, a school, everything, and additional accommodation. But that didn't go through. So what we built to replace it wasn't so great. But it was a good machine for collecting the funds. And Srila Prabhupada was very kind to include us in that service. So it's one thing that sometimes people, they're offered some service and they think, well, somebody else can do it. I've got better things to do. But you don't. And a gift, an offer of service is a gift from Srila Prabhupada. It's a gift. Now, some people appreciate gifts and some people don't. Those who appreciate are unselfish. They're unselfish and they have a pure heart. And by accepting that service, what happens? Their hearts become purer. We were walking up and there's a couple of dozen ladies down there. They're rolling the samosas and the kachoris and they're cutting the vegetables and all that. They're behind the scenes, but nothing will happen without that service. If after a nice program we have to go home and make a sandwich of bread from the pick and pay, it really won't be the same. So we have the opportunity to render some service. That's Krishna and Srila Prabhupada's gift, their gift. Of course, that service begins Etavan Eva Krishnosya Mukta Sangha, that the first service is chanting Hare Krishna. That's our first service. But there's so many other services spreading from there. Reading, hearing, serving, worshiping, as we have a wonderful deity service here. It's so inspiring. Shruti Kirti was telling us this morning that the worship of the deity is the heart of the community. That people appreciate the beauty. There they go. Shri Shri Radha Radhanath ki. Shri Giriraj Govardhan ki. Shri Man Mahaprabhu ki. So we have to appreciate the service of others, and we have to appreciate the opportunity to serve. And that's what makes a difference between drudgery and ecstasy. Sometimes got to go to the temple today. But if we're lucky, by the time we come home, we're in ecstasy. We're in ecstasy because we come in touch with the spiritual platform. So you're all very fortunate. You are all very fortunate. Outside of Maharaj and myself and Shruti Prabhu, we are all Vitos, as was mentioned this morning, but practically everyone else is of Indian descent. So I often say, Prabhupada was in a meeting in India with some life members, and he quoted the verse that Lord Chaitanya spoke that one should become, those born in India, they should become Krishna conscious and they must spread the mission of Lord Chaitanya. So Prabhupada was telling these Indian gentlemen that the mission for spreading Lord Chaitanya's movement belongs to the Indians. But he said, but they're not coming forward. So I have to use these Westerners. So now you're here. Now you're here and you're so much more qualified. You have the culture, you have the upbringing. You don't have all the contamination of the so-called, the non-existent Western culture. There's no culture in America, and practically in Europe. Prabhupada said that maybe in London you had a little bit. But outside of that, it's a glorified version of animals. So you have the opportunity. You've been born with the birthright. Prabhupada said you just scratch, and it's right below the surface. So Prabhupada wanted this temple, and he engaged us. He gave us the wonderful service of helping open this temple. When we were selling paintings, myself and a nice devotee, Chaitanya Bhagavat, we would hold the paintings up against the wall. We'd have one side, and we hold it exactly where it was supposed to go. And we would be behind the painting and we're saying, Shri Shri Radhanath, Radhanath, Radhanath. Please let them buy this temple. We didn't even know what they looked like. We only had their name. Prabhupada was very merciful to engage us in that way. And now the temple is here. And we're so happy. Of course, I've been cursed that I can't come here but once or twice a year if I'm lucky. But we're so happy to come and see so many people taking advantage of this gift that Srila Prabhupada requested. So please take advantage of this temple. It's a very holy place, and it's a jewel amongst all of these centers within ISKCON. So we thank you for coming, and then along with it you have a responsibility to do what you can. You may be a young person, or you may be an old person, doesn't matter. You may be a woman, you may be a man. You may be rich or poor, you may be smart, you may be not so smart. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Prabhupada and Krishna aren't looking at that. They're looking for who loves me, who wants to help serve me. So whenever you come to this temple, it was built by the endeavors of different devotees. Of course, Maharaj and myself and others collected the funding. But there were so many devotees from all over the world who came to do the finish work. We used to drive by the temple there and down the road, and we would see the slab and the posts coming out of the concrete, sitting there for 5 or 10 years. It was there before we started, and it was still posts and ironwork when we finished the temple. But then they got going because they could see, well, these Hare Krishnas, they got it done. And even people that didn't want to donate for the temple, when they saw it coming out of the ground, then they said, wow, I better get involved in this before it's too late. So it's never too late, and it's never too early either, to become involved in saving the world. We have to save ourselves. We have to save our families. We have to save our communities. We have to save our country, God bless. And we have to save the world. So it's only going to happen when we come forward with Krishna consciousness in our life and try to benefit others. Being unselfish and considering that other people are just as worthy as ourselves. Srila Prabhupada understood that desire of Lord Chaitanya, that Krishna consciousness would be spread to every town and village in the world. Not only in South Africa, not only in Southwest Africa, not only in Zambia or Zaire or Zimbabwe or this Z or that Z, Malawi or anything. Actually, it's going to spread to every corner of the world. And there's one corner that we have to make sure it spreads to, and that's the one in our heart. So if we do that, then the cumulative effect of being Krishna conscious will change the world. Change the world. So we have that responsibility. We thank everyone for coming. We encourage you to keep coming and try to render some service. There are many very qualified persons here. And they can do so much service. Ask what you can do. You can approach David Prabhu and say you're interested and you're wondering, how can I help? When I first joined, I met the devotees. I'll just go another minute. And my younger brother had passed away. He had cerebral palsy. And I remember, when someone dies and you get a little renounced. So then I was thinking, well, why am I here? Why am I here? What's the purpose? Is there a purpose for my life? I even asked my father, why did you have me? And he gave me this look like, you don't know what's going on, do you? So, yeah. So then I asked myself, well, is there a reason for me being here? And after a lot of reading and investigating, I decided, yes, there is. There must be. I don't know what it is, but when I find out, I'm going to be ready. So I took martial arts and meditation and yoga. I was working in construction in the hot sun the whole day, taking TM. And then I saw this piece of paper said, join us for a vegetarian feast on the Krishna bus. So the yoga book I was studying said, try to give up the red meat or become a vegetarian. I mean, back then, in the 70s, people didn't even know how to spell vegetarian. They didn't even know how to spell vegetarian. So I went to see what was going on. It was in a park. And I thought it would be some young people with blue jeans and T-shirts standing on their heads or something. And I came around the corner, and what do I see? I see these brilliant saffron robes and these shiny shaven heads. And I said, whoa, I don't know if I'm ready for this. But Krishna gave me the good fortune to go and listen. One devotee gave me a plate of prasadam, sat down and gave me the philosophy. And after that, I was so satisfied, not just because of the food, but because he answered all the questions that I had. He checked all the boxes like that. So then after it, I'm thinking, well, you've been saying you're looking for the reason for life. Here it is. So what are you going to do? You're going to crawl back under your rock? Or are you going to do something? And I said, well, I'll give it a try. Maybe I can help. Maybe I can help. So you definitely can help. So I can see Prabhu's going to cut me off now. So thank you very much. Sorry to go on and ramble so long. But thank you very much for coming. And we do need you. We need you. We need you. You need us, but we need you. So let's work together. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki.
Thank you, His Grace Madhavi Prabhu Ki Jai. Hare Krishna, and welcome to all those guests who have just joined us for the opening ceremony of the 40th anniversary of the Sri Sri Radha Radhanath Temple. We now have the pleasure of hearing from His Holiness Bhakti Brihad Bhagavat Swami, who is a local boy, as he says. He hails from Isipingo. He was a former school teacher and joined the International Society for Krishna Consciousness in 1983. He served as the temple president of the Sri Sri Radha Radhanath Temple for quite some time, as well as the president and the management board of ISKCON Vrindavan. So that was a lot of experience in terms of leadership. But Maharaj also was the founder of the Bhaktivedanta College of Education and Culture, coming from an education background. And I can tell you, don't test me, Maharaj, though, but as a little girl, when I was here at the temple, Maharaj used to catch me at the temple grounds and teach me verses. And the next week at the Sunday Love Feast, he would then ask me the verse, and then he'd make sure I learned the translation of that verse for the next week. But please don't test me now, Maharaj. So on that note, Maharaj is from Durban, and we're so happy to have him here 4 decades on. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So tomorrow around 11:15 after the Padayatra, I'll be facilitating devotees in relationship prior to the temple opening. So we'll discuss a little bit more there tomorrow. However, in our midst, we have a wonderful devotee from Russia who's with us. But he would not be with us tomorrow because he's going to our new Jagannath Puri temple. So I thought the time that's given to me now, possibly he can encourage us about the austerities and suffering conditions under which it started all in Russia, but just for maybe 5 minutes. Madan Mohan Prabhu ki. Please come.
Hare Krishna, as His Holiness Bhakti Brihad Bhagavat Swami said, this is Madan Mohan Gopal Das, who is Madan Mohan Das from Russia, and he's also a sannyas candidate. And that means that he is now on the path of the renounced order of life, taking the vows of renunciation. And one of the steps in the stages that happens during this phase is that there's a lot of exposure of international preaching and international dialogue. So we're also honored to have Prabhu here with us, and he will share for a few minutes. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Well, true to his upbringing as a school teacher and an educator, Bhakti Brihad Bhagavat Maharaj knows that to test someone's knowledge and understanding, a student has to be put in the spotlight sometimes, without any prior warning, which never came. I didn't expect. I expected to just blend with the audience and listen to the glorious history of this temple. But Maharaj has another plan for me. I'm just trying to buy time and figure out what I'm supposed to say in terms of austerities of preaching in Russia. Well, Bhakti Chaitanya Maharaj is here with us, and if anyone can say anything about the austerities of preaching in Russia in the former Soviet Union, that's him. Him and his godbrothers, Niranjana Maharaj, Indradyumna Swami, Prabhavishnu Maharaj, and Govinda Swami, so many glorious Prabhupada's disciples went into that uncharted territory in the former Soviet Union and gave us the kind of nourishment and association and personal example that made our spiritual lives anything but austere or anything but difficult, because looking up to them and following their example made everything easy and sublime and blissful for us. Actually, I was just saying the other day when Maharaj inaugurated the Kartik celebrations that we are fortunate to be in the safety of Srila Prabhupada's direct disciples, association, personal example, and shelter. As His Grace Shruta Kirti Prabhu was saying this morning in the Bhagavatam class, speaking about Srila Prabhupada's instructions on deity worship, he said that the most important thing to make everything successful is to follow exactly what Prabhupada taught us. And I could safely or with confidence say the same thing about us, the third generation of devotees in ISKCON, being blessed by the example of Srila Prabhupada's direct disciples in their presence and under their guidance and shelter and their watchful eyes. Even though in Russia, at least in the former Soviet Union, Russia, I'm sure Maharaj can say a lot from his experience. But since we were on the receiving end of Maharaja's and other devotees' mercy, we don't have that kind of outlook on what we did wrong. But Maharaj, I'm sure, can share with you a few stories about what we did wrong. But again, under their nice guidance and very gentle and compassionate treatment of us struggling in our spiritual lives, here we are. We're still following the principles, chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, preaching about Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and hundreds of thousands of people actually in Russia and other countries of the former Soviet Union become inspired to take up this, as Medhavi Prabhu was saying in his presentation, that when he came to the place where he was supposed to be learning a new alternative lifestyle, he didn't expect what he saw. But what he saw really inspired him to dedicate his life to this path. The same happened to us. We became objects of their mercy, and then whatever career plans we had in our lives. I was a chemistry student. In 1991, when I studied chemistry, one devotee was preaching in the campus, and he gave me a piece of prasadam. It was a burfi. And I still remember the taste of it, almost 35 years later. And someone of us got Srila Prabhupada's book again. It was translated, maybe not perfectly, with a lot of mistakes. Now in retrospect we understand how naive and rough sometimes the translations were. But Prabhupada's potency invested in his books, his deities, his mission, his teachings, and his devotees cannot be checked by any external circumstances or any external shortcomings. So preaching in Russia is continuing still despite all odds. We have hundreds of centers, not as large, unfortunately, not yet, but not as beautiful, but they're beautiful in another way. They're beautiful because they maintain and preserve and, you could say, emanate the presence of Krishna and Srila Prabhupada into the lives of other people. And people become attracted. They change their lives. They start teaching Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam in different ways, very creative ways, so they could be understood and accepted by other people, Russian people from all walks of life, educated, with some high positions of authority, spiritual seekers, as Medhavi Prabhu listed, a whole range of those who are not left out or excluded from devotional service. So we are begging for your blessings. You set the standard very high for us, and we're trying to measure up and catch up with your service. And this is an exciting competition. Srila Prabhupada said that competition has a place in spiritual life. Everything has a place. Diplomacy, politics, competition, even some kind of healthy jealousy. Healthy jealousy in the sense of being inspired by someone else's example and trying to emulate and follow in the footsteps of those devotees who set the standard high for us. So hopefully, hopefully not in 40 years from now, but maybe in 10 or 20 years from now, who knows, maybe Shri Radha, Radhanath and their other forms will have a very similar temple somewhere in Moscow or St. Petersburg or other parts of Russia, if you all give us your blessings. We're not asking for anything else, just the blessings. Nothing else comes with my request. So thank you so much. Thank you, Maharaj, for being the pioneer and the torchbearer for preaching of Srila Prabhupada's mission in Russia. And please bless us so we could continue, follow your suit. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much. And thank you for that add-on about the spiritual competition. So, thank you so much, Prabhu, and we wish you well. We also thank you for your association and for visiting us in Durban. You may remain. Thank you. And now a very special guest. Actually, she is well known to us here at the temple, the Honorable Ms. Shamin Thakur Rajbansi. And her biodata, her CV is extensive. And we all know her as a great politician. We know her as a lady who's taken on the realm in so many different aspects. And I was speaking to her last week at the Kendra Hall program in honor of Srila Prabhupada and expressing our gratitude to her for not just being a politician, for being somebody who was a voice of the South Africans, but being a stalwart when it came to Srila Prabhupada's teachings. Together with her late husband, the Honorable Mr. Rajbansi, who I also feel that we'd like to honor him at this event. And Ms. Shamin Thakur Rajbansi is a perfect guest for us because it was Mr. Rajbansi who was here 40 years ago at the opening of the temple. He was a part of the ribbon cutting ceremony, and together with the late Dr. Buthelezi and so many others, as well as Mr. Rajbansi, helped us acquire the road name that now says Bhaktivedanta Swami Circle. And those are all historic moments within the 40 years of the Sri Sri Radha Radhanath temple. So Shamin Thakur Rajbansi, as Ram Vijay Prabhu also said to me a little earlier, that he saw you on the bus in 1996 with His Holiness Bhakti Charaswami Maharaj at a parikram in Mayapur. And unassumingly so, she was on that parikram bus, leaving all titles, leaving all designations, and just going on parikram. Thank you so much for joining us and being a part of the legacy, and I know that you will be supporting Srila Prabhupada going forward. The Honorable Shamin Thakur Rajbansi.
Hare Krishna. All glories to our Lordships, all glories to Srila Prabhupada, and greetings to our revered Swamijis present here, as well as to all the dear devotees and well-wishers of the Mandir. I'm very honored to be here today to mark the 40th anniversary of the opening of the Sri Radha Radhanath Temple of Understanding. This mandir is very close to our family, and it is a landmark in Chatsworth. It is definitely on the tourism map for Durban, and well visited even by global people. So if I can say after 40 years whether the mandir has accomplished the objective of Srila Prabhupada, then I can say that this is a legacy that definitely has, and it will live on, it will grow, and will continuously serve our people. But the 1970s was definitely a difficult period, I think all around the world. But for South Africa, more especially, because we were in apartheid. We had a government that had basically one ethos when it came to religion, and we're quite blind to the needs of other communities. The Indian community being a minority community, and from an ancestral point of view, even this year marks the 165th year for the arrival of indentured Indians. So this year is a very significant year to honor our ancestors who actually brought important books from Bharat, and two popular books with the Ramayana and the Bhagavad Gita. And even when in our country, as strange as it was to them, they realized that the government would not give them an environment like they had in Bharat. So they built little temples with self-help. And we have some very historical temples in this province, in KwaZulu-Natal. But later on, of course, and if it wasn't, I would say at this point, for the intervention of Srila Prabhupada, because I was listening attentively at, I would say, his leelas at the Kendra last week, when one of the Maharajas said that, Srila Prabhupada was at a point where he had made up his mind that he was going to visit every corner of Bharat and visit all the interesting places. But suddenly he decided that he wasn't going to do that, and he changed his mind and came to South Africa. So that in 1975 there was a very, very daring move to come to a strange country like ours. But obviously it is through the guidance of Lord Sri Krishna. Because our country most probably at that time really needed Krishna consciousness. And I always say that growing up in Newcastle, a very rural town in KwaZulu-Natal, we hardly had interaction with a lot of religious people. But we did have the Ramakrishna there. So as little children, we went to the Ramakrishna, and we went to the Sai movements later. And in the latter part of the 70s, we were very happy as a family when devotees from ISKCON started visiting Newcastle. And ours was one of the families that looked after all the devotees. And at the same time, we didn't know that in the 70s, on this side, Mr. Rajbansi was already helping the devotees. One of the devotees that was going to be turned away at the airport at passport control was Bhakti Charuswami. At that time, of course, he was very young. But later, just before Mr. Rajbansi could pass on, he met him and reminded Mr. Rajbansi that the devotee that was being turned away at passport control many, many years ago was him. And he was very grateful that Mr. Rajbansi had intervened to take care of him as his guardian because the authorities were wanting to deport Maharaj. So the fact that Mr. Rajbansi intervened and took care of him, then he was able to go out and propagate Krishna consciousness. So all these little things add up. And I think from each end, we continuously were involved in the ISKCON movement. And later on, in the 80s, of course, the devotees approached Mr. Rajbansi because he was a local MP here in the Tricam at that time of the national government. But they had approached him for a land here. And I remember Mr. Rajvanshi always, whenever he came here, the mandir was his favorite spot. If you ever wanted to meet Mr. Rajvanshi by chance, you'd rather come to mandir because you would meet him here. And he was telling me that the devotees wanted to, were choosing the first site, which was our Home Affairs building on the top. And I think it was because they were planning to build only maybe 1 or 2 floors because they would get the view of the sea. But Mr. Rajvanshi told him that that plot was very small and it would be too congested for the mandir, so he moved them down to choose this spot, and so that they could get extra parking and the mandir could be double its size, but also they could get land till the robot, so that he realized that ISKCON was a global movement. It was not just a local mandir, and it would grow in time and it would need extra land. So therefore he was thinking like that. I remember one of the things that he liked doing at mandir was he loved visiting Govindas and having a meal. And whenever he'd come to Govindas, he would say to me, but I told them not to build the moat on this side and to open out the doors so that people could sit on the terrace and also have a meal. And he said that'll be such a beautiful environment, like, modern cafes and all that are. But that was one of the things that he used to always speak about. However, today is a wonderful day. It's 40 years, and it's a long time. But I want to say to the Maharajas, and maybe they are, and I know in ISKCON there are many thinkers here, there are many authors here, and there are many people who write wonderful things, and they contribute all the time, either to the media or to the magazines, the Back to Godhead. But I think that I was reading a very beautiful book, because whenever I take care of Krishna, they give me a beautiful book to read. But one of them was I'll Build a Temple, the Juhu story, by His Holiness Giriraj Maharaj. And I really enjoyed reading that, and I thought that if one of the devotees took the time to actually write a book on the Sri Radhanath Temple of Understanding, the Chatsworth story, that would be a wonderful book to read. But of course at that time, Maharaj had the inspiration from his association with Srila Prabhupada. But I'm sure amongst our other Maharajas, we'd have inspiration so that one of our budding authors in ISKCON can write this beautiful book, because it's an interesting story. On the other hand, I want to take this opportunity to also thank Chaitanya Prabhu, as well as all the other Maharajas, for the wonderful job that you do in keeping the temple going and all the beautiful activities that you do, whether it's Food for Life, whether it's book distribution, whether it's Ratha Yatra, or all other activities that ISKCON comes up with from time to time. And the fact that you bring so many interesting people to give us talks as well. But I think that it's also time that we motivate the young people. And I heard from all the speeches, I only had one theme coming out, that I think that you want young blood and you want people to take ownership of the mandir. And that's a very important thing. Because in life, there's very few things we as human beings can leave as a legacy. But as all the Vedas tell us, that one of the things that you can do to leave a legacy is that you can build a mandir, you can build a home for God. And that's why Srila Prabhupada understood the importance of building a mandir wherever he went. So Mr. Rajvanshi played his role, and I'm glad that you're honoring him, because I prayed to him from last week when I knew I was going to come and speak here, to give me the ability to think of everything and recall everything that I needed to say. But I know that he was very passionate about the mandir. He was very passionate about a Gurukul coming out. So I think Bhakti Brihad Bhagavad Maharaj can actually do a good job at getting what ISKCON really excels at proper Gurukuls started, because I think that that is the way to get a lot of young people into ISKCON from a very young age. And our society needs it. I want to say at this juncture, as I conclude, that the value of ISKCON will never be truly understood And if you come to Mandir often, and Maharaj, all Maharajas said that you must attend often. The Mandir is here for a purpose. Every person has put some effort into building this Mandir brick by brick. And we honor all those people. We honor all those devotees that do so much of seva at the Mandir. But I want to say that this Mandir is one Mandir, I would say, in the whole of KwaZulu-Natal, that starts prayer at sunrise and it finishes prayer at sunset. Now, in all that time, devotees, when they come to Mandir, they hear the conch being blown, they hear the bells being rung, they participate in Aarti, they see beautiful our deities, our lordships, dressed in the most beautiful outfits. Now, we as Hindus know that when we pray at home, we pray as individuals. It's not as powerful as when we come to Mandir and we associate with all the devotees, and the feeling and the bhav is different. And our connection with the divine is different. And every time we evolve spiritually when we come to Mandir. So today is a day that we must give honor and praise to all the great men and women who have established the Sri Radhanath Temple of Understanding. I just want to end by saying that for my part, I have loved serving devotees. As a pharmacist in Phoenix, I took care of many ailing devotees, and whenever the Maharajas came, they knew they could come to my pharmacy and I would help them. I also helped in our family in a lot of the tent campaigns, and I always say that ISKCON must start those tent campaigns again because they were very, very popular, the tent campaigns in little places. The last thing I want to do before I close is I want to give thanks to one very special devotee that was very close to me, and that was Triyogadas. Triyogadas, if he didn't come all the time, either to my practice or to my home, and hold me and our family through so many trials and tribulations, I don't think I would have had that amount of faith to continue praying. But I continued praying, and today I'm very, very happy to tell you that I am a Krishna devotee, and I'm a Krishna devotee because of greater devotees like Triyogadas and so many other simple devotees that spread Krishna consciousness door to door, house to house, village to village, and that is how this movement has become so great in South Africa. So thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. All glories to our lordships, all glories to Srila Prabhupada, and we wish the best for the Mandir after this 40 years going forward, and may the Mandir grow from strength to strength. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, and that was the Honorable Ms. Shamyun Thakur Rajbansi. And thank you so much, Maharajas, dear senior devotees, disciples of Srila Prabhupada, for your time, for your association. And of course, the festivities continue for the rest of the day. Although we will be observing the Aarti here, there is a very special play that's been waiting for us to go to actually the main tent. They are the cast and crew of Bhakti Theatre, and they've been waiting. They haven't started. So they've been waiting for all of you to actually make your way down to the tent so you could enjoy this play in honor of the founder Acharya of ISKCON. We will then have Prasadam. We will then have the second half of our program for today. And tomorrow, of course, the festivities continue. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. May we all proceed to the tent. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much.